Welcome back. This is part 2. Alright, I don't know why I kept the first one up there. We just covered that in the last video. So I'll move on to the next one. When the days of her purification are completed for a son or a daughter, this goes back to the birth of children and the cleanliness of the woman, right? After her days of separation, which would be 40 days for a male child, 80 days for a female child, right? Again, there's no temple, there's no priesthood. Actually, it boils down to just, there's no priesthood, because the priests didn't just operate inside the temple. There were 12 specific tribes, 13 if you count, Levi, but 12 tribes, and then the 13th being Levi, who had no inheritance. They were scattered among all the tribes intentionally so that they could be ministers of the word, to teach the people the Torah, to make sure that they weren't doing dumb things. The lay folk would listen to the Levites, who would abide by the Torah and teach the people the Torah, literally as servants to the Most High. But they would also carry out sacrifices and things like that. So if there was a priesthood, this would be something I have no problem adhering to. Again, I covered that in part 1. When a woman has a discharge and her back to, okay, here we go. Nida, again. Do you see a priesthood? And whether whoever touches anything on which she sits shall wash his clothes and be unclean. Which again, I covered that in the last one. You wash and you're unclean. This would be something that I would practice today. As far as the other things that are specifically commanded, in regards to a priesthood, it's not something that we're capable of adhering to today. If the man with discharge spits on one who is clean, he too shall wash his clothes and bathe in water and be unclean until evening. Every saddle on which the person... Here, let me change. Shall be unclean until evening, and he who carries it in washed clothes, etc., 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 etc. Yes, this would be something that I would adhere to. Again, this is a mikvah. You may be somewhat familiar with mikvahs because it's essentially what baptism is. The washing with the water, right? So, yes, it would be something that I would adhere to. No problem. The priest shall look at the infection. Wow, here we go again. More priesthood stuff. I literally think that he just picked just the most abstract laws and was like, do you guys do these, bro? There's no priesthood. I can't, but I would. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap the very corners of your field, nor shall you gather the gleanings of your harvest. Now, this, I don't even know how I did that. That's fascinating. This would be something that, yes, I would adhere to. When I had growth, obviously I'm a little disabled for the moment, I guess. When I did have growth in my field, as far as me planting, sowing seed, this would be something that I would adhere to. Another one that I don't think that he has covered in this is the first fruits. You don't eat your first fruits. The first of your crop is not for, you to just, harbor, hold and, store in your cupboard or whatever and just use for yourself. No, that's something that I would take before our fellowship, and it'd be something that we would all partake in. Or if there is a poor individual or a widow that needs to be taken care of, or a fatherless child, this would be something that would be given to them, because that's who it's for. That's the first fruit of your produce. It's not for my personal gain. So, yes, these are things that I would adhere to. again, we covered some of them as far as what would be applicable, meaning that you could do it. This is why I try to explain to people. Yes, we have to follow all the law, but not all the law is specifically for us. Like he had, referenced some of the purity laws, the cleanliness laws, the laws of nidah for the woman, and that's not something that would apply to me. I don't go through a menstrual cycle where there's discharge from my nether region. That's specifically for a woman. And furthermore, in his video, which I do intend to address, he mentions that, Jesus fulfilled all the law, so we ain't got to. By your reckoning, your understanding of that, are you telling me that he, Yeshua fulfilled the laws of Nidah, meaning that, the purity, the menstruation, cleanliness of a woman, he did that? How did he do that? And if by your reckoning, your understanding, him fulfilling the law or doing the law means that it no longer applies, then by proxy, anything that he didn't do would still apply, which means that would be something that you would still do, right? Because he didn't do it. He didn't fulfill it. He didn't act it out, meaning that it would still be applicable. That's your understanding. That's your... Anyways, there's not a single law in any of these Bibles, which they're the same Bible, different translation. And again, any of these Bibles that you'll find that you'd say, are you observant of this? That I would say no, unless it doesn't apply to me as a man, a son, a father, a husband. If it doesn't apply to me, then no, I'm not doing those things. Or it's not possible to be done at this current moment in time, meaning I don't have a priesthood. If there was a priesthood, there would be more laws that would be, or that I would be adherent to. But that's really it. Or if, status changes as far as the owning of, flock or herd animals, or if I, get back into growing crop, then I would, again, take that, do not glean from the corners of your fields. I would take that back into practice. Right now, it doesn't apply to me because I'm not growing anything. So it's not something that I would adhere to. That should be common knowledge. But again, there's a couple of videos that were made that I fully intend on touching on. So I'll end this one here, and this will be the end of the part 2 as far as the textual aspect of pretty much just that post. But stay tuned for more.